Welcome to Conversation With. My guest today is Meredith Green, our Kitsap County Treasurer. Meredith and I are going to go in depth on what is the responsibilities of the treasurer, talk a little bit about her office, and she's got some great information to share with citizens about taxes and all kinds of financial information. So first of all, Meredith, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shar. It's nice to be here.
I've wanted to have Meredith on since she came into office at the county government and really kind of explain a few things to us about what the job is and what it all entails. And so we've worked through it, and here we are on a wonderful Friday. It is a beautiful day outside, and if citizens aren't aware, the county admin office the building is closed on Fridays. So lots of folks scuttling around, mostly maintenance folks trying to do some catch up, but there are no staff in the building today.
That's right. If staff work on Fridays, we work from home, and occasionally we do come to the office to get things done here. Like you.
Yeah, like Meredith is in with us today. So Meredith, let's talk a little bit about you and give us a little bit of background. How long have you been in office with the county?
I've been in office with the county since March of last year. So I was appointed in March, and then I was elected in November. I will serve, my term runs through 2014.
Mm-hmm. Why is the treasurer an elected office?
The treasurer is an elected office because many offices, the auditor, the assessor, the sheriff, the prosecutor, the coroner, and judges are elected because we want independence between officials.
Oh, okay. As simple as that.
Mm-hmm. And it's required by the state constitution, and unless the county does something different.
Mm-hmm. So you have been with the county since March 2010, first of all appointed, and then ran for office, and you were elected last November.
Last November. So this is my first time that I've worked in government. Up until this point, I was in private industry. I have 25 years of financial management experience. My degree is from University of Washington. I've been a CPA for 25 years. So I come with a lot of really solid experience, CFO, Chief Financial Officer experience in private companies that leads well to the position here in government.
What intrigued you about the job, Meredith?
I was at the point in my career where I really wanted, and I'm looking directly at you, the taxpayers, I really wanted to do something for my community. I have 2 teenage children, and community involvement is very important to me, and we are in a place where we need some people like me working in government, and I wanted to make a difference here in my own community.
Good. Meredith, you live in Paulsbo. You worked for Boxlight and Pope Resources, correct?
Right. I came here for the job with Pope Resources, and I was the Vice President of Finance, and then I was the Chief Financial Officer for Boxlight, and from there I became the Chief Financial Officer for Ubiquity, which was on Bainbridge Island.
So you're a community gal. You work in our community, live in our community. So let's talk about the treasurer's office. Meredith, how many folks work under you?
I have 10 people other than myself. When I came into office, there were an additional 2 people. We had 3 people retire last year, and we decided that we'd make a shot at going with only rehiring or replacing one of those positions. So we shuffled some responsibilities around and reduced from a staff of 13, including myself, to a staff of 11. And we are doing quite well with that. We are able, through the use of technology, we've been able to keep up with the responsibilities of the job.
Excellent. There is a budget. What's the title for there's a budget person for the county. Is it a budget manager, budget analyst?
What is her position? She's the Director of the Office of Strategic Planning, and that would be Amber D'Amato, and she helps the commissioners with the budget of the county, and that responsibility, the county budget falls under the responsibility of the commissioners, and actually they designate even my budget, even though I have a responsibility to get the job done. They control the budgets of all elected officials. So Amber helps them put together that budget, and I've been very fortunate in that they've used me as a consultant to the county, and that's just one of the many things that I get to do here, which I find very fulfilling and puts my skills to good use.
The budget person does not work under you, is not in your office. She is in the commissioner's office.
That's correct.
That's a great relationship. I would think that'd be very balanced then. So let's talk a little bit more about the folks in your office. Many of them have probably worked for the county for a long time, and their job is to directly interface with the public. Is that correct, most of them?
That is correct.
So when someone comes in to do some interactions with the treasurer, most of your folks are those front line to the public.
Right. They are the front line to the public, and I have people who have been here. Our most recent hire was this year, but then my chief deputy, Vicki Fick, has been with the county for almost 30 years now. She started as a teenager.
Like a lot of us. So, Meredith, tell us an overview first. What is the treasurer for the county? What is your responsibility?
Well, the county treasurer serves as the bank for the county and the junior taxing districts. We have, in this county, we have 44 junior taxing districts. That includes 4 school districts, 12 port districts, some public utility, library, all sorts of small districts that you wouldn't think of as county government, but we actually serve as the treasurer for those organizations.
Fire district,
Fire
school
district,
districts,
school,
port, library, all those. That money is collected at the county level, and then the county distributes those to those districts, correct?
That's correct. So, for instance, when we collect property taxes, about 50% of what we collect goes to the state schools and local schools. That money that we collect here in this office through property tax statements, we send directly to those districts. We also are the recipient of state funds for the school districts. So, for instance, when either a federal or state grant comes to a junior taxing district, it comes through the coffers of the county treasurer.
Do you ever have to then interact and work with those junior taxing districts to make sure the funding is allocated properly? That might not be the word I'm looking for, but once the junior taxing district gets the funding from you, who does that check and balance at their level to make sure that it's spent properly?
Well, most of the districts have their, for instance, a school district would be a larger district, and they would have somebody like a finance director specifically tasked with the finances of that district. Some of the smaller taxing districts, for instance, maybe the Bainbridge Island Parks and Rec, or a new district, the Village Green out of Kingston, they might not have somebody who's dedicated strictly to the finances of the organization, but they all have commissioners with that oversight. So depending on the staffing of the organization, we work with maybe just the office person, or we would work directly with the finance director for some of the school districts.
Got it.
And they know what money's coming their way, and we work with them to make sure that it gets to them. Sometimes we get things that we don't know where they should go, so we talk to them about what particular fund it would go in. And we are communicating via email and all sorts of ways with the junior taxing districts.
That's a really huge position, a really huge job. Lots of money coming in that then gets distributed out in the community. Very, very huge job. Let's continue with some other responsibilities of your office.
Okay, so we've served as the bank of the county. We invest on behalf of those junior taxing districts, so they have the choice of, depending on the size of the district, they may invest on their own. With the local government pool that's run by the state, or Kitsap County also has our own investment pool where we invest money in a little bit longer than the state is a very liquid pool. Our pool is still very liquid, but we can invest up to 5 years, and that means that we earn a little bit more money than the state earns on their pool. And we invest that, charge a very small fee to the districts from which we pay the expenses of the investment manager, and it's a benefit to everybody. They earn more.
Right.
We also do for the county.
And how often do you send the money out to those junior districts? It's once a month, you said?
We send it out at least once a month. So by the 10th day of the month, we have distributed the taxes to the junior taxing districts, and we've also provided them with reports as far as where that information comes from. Those reports used to actually take about a ream of paper a month, and
Wow.
now we actually send them via email, and very shortly we're going to be putting them on a SharePoint site where they'll be able to access the reports, much like you do, for instance, your bank statement.
Correct.
If you get it online now.
Good.
And we've made some of those changes in the last year.
Meredith, what's the most rewarding part of your job? What do you enjoy the most?
I really enjoy being a public servant. I enjoy working for the people of the county. I have a tremendous amount of professional experience, and to be able to put that to use here in the county with the people who I play with and work with, I really enjoy that. And then the county, the people here at the county, the people who are working for the county are just a fantastic group of people, and I really enjoy their professionalism. And I was actually somewhat surprised by it when I came here. I was very pleasantly surprised by the caliber of people we have here.
Excellent, excellent. Well, so now Meredith is going to give us Taxes 101 and wants to really go through the process of how citizens can go online, look at their tax parcel. So talk us through this whole, the education piece, what you really want to share with the citizens.
Okay. Well, we've already talked a little bit about property tax distribution. So about 50% of what we collect here actually goes to the schools, and it goes either to the state school fund or directly to the local schools. A small portion, last year, less than 10% came to the county current expense, about 8% to the county roads, 7% to the cities, 15% to the fire districts, and then small parts to the library, utility, parks, and port districts. So we collect money for those districts, and each property, if you go online, you can actually search for your own property. All that information is public information, so you can look up your own address, or if you were curious as to a property that perhaps you're looking to buy, you can go online and click on parcel search and then look up your tax statement.
And the website, first of all, let's start, I think we should let people know they need to go to www.kitsapgov.com/TREAS, TREAS, and then you'll be able to pick the parcel.
So when you pick your parcel, a screen will be presented to you that looks very much like the tax statement that you get in the mail. And that tax statement has a couple of components. on the upper right-hand corner is an area called General Tax Distribution. And that General Tax Distribution is actually a live link where you can click for more information. Here on the screen, 2 comparative years are presented. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see the property description and then the value information, which compares this year and last year. And then there's information regarding the levy code. And the levy code is the amount of tax that you're charged per $1,000 in value. And while I'm there, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about, we are currently in a situation where all of us have had properties that have declined in value. And that decline in value, you would think, at least I thought before I really understood how taxes worked, why aren't my taxes going down? And the reason your taxes don't go down is we have a property tax system that takes the budgets of the various districts. So let's say the state school district or the local school district. It takes that particular district and the budget of that particular district and divides it by the value of all of the properties in that district. So as long as your property value changed in the same relation to all of the other properties in that district, your property taxes won't go down because everybody else just picks up the same share that they picked up last year.
Oh, okay.
Where it does change is this year we had a couple of things that were unusual for the general Kitsap picture. The state school levy, King County properties actually declined more in value than Kitsap County properties. So Kitsap County ends up picking up a bigger portion of the state school district funds. Ew. So we all picked up, even if our property values decline the same in relation to all of the other Kitsap County properties, just because Kitsap didn't decline as much as King County, we picked up a little bit more in the state school levy. The other thing that happens this year is that many of the fire districts were at their levy, the statutory limit for their levies. So they were at the fire district's statutory rate is 1.5 cents per thousand, or $1.5 per thousand. And they were capped at that level. So if you were in a fire district that was capped, you actually saw a decline in the value or in the property tax that you pay related to fire districts. So kind of moving along, when you're looking at the web statement, you can click on the general tax distribution and you'll see that actually pulls up a graph that's specific to your property, and it shows how your property taxes have varied over the year. If you hover over any of those taxes, you can see how the tax changed. And to me, that's useful information because you see some school districts, for instance, this year passed levies where some districts, for instance, Bainbridge Island, will see an increase in their property taxes related to the school districts. And you can view that by hovering over your particular graph that is, again, specific to the property that you're looking at. The next slide that I'm going to show you, or screen, is the overall distribution of property tax dollars. And the one that this particular piece of property is a piece that's in Paulsbo. So there's a portion of city taxes that show up. We also collect for the cities. That piece goes to the city of Paulsbo. Again, information at this on these can be accessed by anybody in the county on any piece of property, and using the pie graph that you see, you can select it for any year that we have on file. And some of the districts actually go back to 1991, so that history goes back quite a ways, and you can see how it's varied over the years.
I would think this would be a good tool, not just for homeowners, But if you are considering buying a piece of property, maybe, you know, selling your home, buying a different home, and actually seeing what the taxes are on that property. Really nice tool.
It is a very nice tool. And again, that information is available for anybody on the county website and the treasurer's website under parcel search. So the final thing that I wanted to just discuss is the levy. One of the screens when you go onto your property tax statement, if you click on the levy codes, this is new this year, you can actually see how the property tax levy for your particular piece of property is derived. And in this particular instance, this property pays $11.18 per $1,000 in value, and you can see that in the upper right of the screen. And that, starting out at the county current expense, 98.8811 cents goes to the county of that $11.88. And again, this information is available for any piece of property. So that's, I just wanted to explain where the property taxes go, because I think for all of us, that's a big deal. It's a big bill. And to me, it's important that taxpayers know where their money goes and realize that it's not all staying here in the county coffers, but we're actually sending it onto the state and into the schools and into the fire districts that actually are there when you dial 911. So that's where your property taxes go, and I think it's important when I pay my property tax bill, or when all of us do, that we recognize the services that's provided by doing that.
I think it was very well said that the county treasurer is the bank. You receive funding and disperse funding.
Exactly.
Very well said. Very well said.
Thank you.
Meredith, when we got property tax statements, which we all do if you are a homeowner, Meredith had a very nice letter in there addressing specifically why aren't my taxes going down if my property value has gone down. So very nice letter that went out, and explaining that a little bit more.
In that letter and some other pieces that help taxpayers understand are also on the website.
Excellent.
But I really thought this year it was important, since all of our property values have decreased, and unfortunately it didn't show up as property tax decreases. I thought it was really important to explain to the taxpayers why that occurred. I also wanted to discuss a little bit in terms of the different ways that taxpayers can make their property tax payments, and that's actually something that was in the letter. This year we are starting to offer the opportunity for taxpayers to have their property tax statements emailed to them. And to me that was an important way of using technology to provide taxpayers with the same level of service without the same expense. So you can go on to our website and sign up for email. You can also just send in the little slip that you got with your property tax statement. But you can sign up and get an emailed statement. When you do sign up, what we'll do is we'll email you a reminder for your October payments, and we will also provide you a link to your property tax statement, which again provides some of the great tools that we just talked about. The other thing that taxpayers can do from that online statement is they can actually pay their property tax bill online. So there are a variety of ways that you can pay your property tax bill. You can pay by ACH, you can pay which costs you nothing. You actually sign up, and we change that every year when your property tax payments change.
What does ACH stand for?
Automated Clearinghouse. Great. So it's basically those automatic payments that come out of your bank account that you see happen once you've established it. We'll actually do that for taxpayers, and it saves us money and it saves the taxpayers time. So I would encourage taxpayers to consider that. Another option is credit cards. Credit cards, we actually have to charge the taxpayer the cost that it would cost us. We need to pay that, pass that along to the taxpayers.
Right.
So it actually costs 2.5%. But you can do that online if a taxpayer so desires. They can also pay by e-payment, which costs $1 for up to 7 accounts. Again, that's a very efficient way for us to take money from their accounts. One new payment option that we're going to be offering after the April 30th tax payment is made is taxpayers will also be able to make monthly payments on their property taxes. We call this prepayment. It was authorized by the legislature last year, and we've developed a program to allow taxpayers to spread that payment out. So especially for people who have paid off their property taxes or their mortgages and aren't paying through escrow accounts, if you want that monthly property tax payment, you can actually do that by signing up for the monthly prepayment, and we will let you know what your monthly payment will be and start withdrawing money from the account that you designate starting in May of this year. And people can sign up at any time, and we will help them figure out what their monthly payment will be. If they sign up in the middle of a period, they'll need to make whatever payments they would have made before. For instance, if you sign up in July, you'd need to pay your May and June payments. But get on to a point where you're maybe making easier payments than that twice-a-year big tax payment that's due.
Right.
So I'm excited to offer that.
Yeah, I would think, you know, nowadays as folks pay bills online and have automatic payments handled, great opportunity for folks to take advantage of this. Meredith, some really great information. We're going to take a quick break and come back in just a few minutes and talk about some other information that you want to share. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Conversation With. We've had a really very informative almost half hour with Meredith Green, our Kitsap County Treasurer. Meredith, I want to thank you for your time, and I'm going to let you close our show and thank the taxpayers and the citizens for tuning in today.
Great. Thank you, Shar. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. And I want to let you, the taxpayers, know how pleased I am and what an honor it is to serve you as your Kitsap County Treasurer. I do appreciate you spending this time with me, and if you have any questions, please visit our website at www.kitsapgov.com, and then you would use a /TREAS, TREAS. Please contact us any way you'd like to, phone, email, or the website. Thank you again for letting me serve you.
And thanks for joining us on Conversation With. We'll see you next time.